Today, again, he makes it very clear he is on the side of those crimes. We are joined by Ty Cobb, who brings a special expertise here. He is a former Trump White House attorney in the first term. He dealt with the Mueller probe. He has previous experience as a prosecutor. He has since spoken out about what he views as the import of the independent rule of law. Welcome back.
Hi, Ari. Nice to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Your view of these pardons.
So I think, well, it was fascinating listening to your lead. And, you know, Trump's so proud of his insurrectionist activities that, you know, the mugshot that you referred to now is prominently displayed in the White House to the shame of most sane Americans.
And while you speak, we'll put that up because we thought we might get there with you. The effort to kind of repurpose his view of the mugshot. I think we have this. I'll tell my producers, C1, I think we have it. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, no. So I think, you know, the pardons today really have nothing to do about protecting the individuals involved at all. I mean, they're ineffectual in that regard. Nobody's currently under federal indictment, and nobody's going to be indicted at the end of Trump's term because the statute of limitations will have run. So totally ineffectual as a matter of law. I think that there's really very little doubt that the pardons relate a little bit to what happened last Tuesday and the recognition in the White House and in the MAGA world that, you know, they may only have a year left of total domination. They could lose the House, perhaps the Senate, but certainly the House is threatened at this stage of the game from Republican control. And I think they may have only a year left to continue their assault on the rule of law and the accumulation of you know, power for the immediate use there. And this is a signal and a recruiting tool to those that will be asked to you know, perform similar atrocities on behalf of Trump and his team over the course of the next year, and perhaps in the election interference that they intend for 2026.
You're saying something very alarming, and you worked as a Trump White House lawyer, so you know how some of this thinking goes. You're suggesting if they just wanted to sort of give Giuliani a solid, they could have done this a long time ago, that after Tuesday, they look at this as an illicit kind of signal or potential kickback to next time. That sounds like the baseline for planning to break election law.
Yes, this is you know, look at what I'm doing for my friends. I'll take care of you in the future.
Wow. And that's not good.
No, it's not good. And it's you know, I mean, they feel totally unrestrained, of course, by the law or legal requirements. And it's you know, we have 77 people who just got pardons, presumably because they were criminals. And I don't think you can sugarcoat that. I'm not sure I would have wanted one of these pardons. But the reality is, I think they have plans for 2026. If you just look at what they've done, they've eliminated the election law enforcement at the Department of Justice. They have all but shuttered the public integrity section, reducing the number of lawyers there from over 30 to less than 5 now. You know, the guardrails that would have protected us and ensured an election integrity are down, and I think they intend to, you know, run whatever through it they can.
The FBI issued a memo encouraging ICE officers to stop wearing masks in the field and to specifically identify themselves. That directive came after several incidents of agents being impersonated. ICE agents say they wear those masks to keep them from being doxxed. ICE also says it's concerned about the safety of its agents in the field. In Fullerton, California, this week, police came across a man pointing a gun at a woman on a busy street. He identified himself as an ICE agent and said he felt like she was following him. Joining us now, staff writer at The Atlantic, Nick Miroff. He covers immigration and the Department of Homeland Security and just wrote about the issue of ICE agents wearing face masks. And he says those face mask coverings aren't going anywhere. All right, so Nick, good to have you. Let's talk about the masks. FBI wants them to stop wearing them. Why would they not listen?
Well, I think we've seen other federal agencies that are assisting ICE in this mass deportation campaign quickly adopt the same, face coverings. One veteran ICE official I talked to said that the FBI agents and the other agencies from the Department of Justice seem even more keen to wear masks than ICE officers because they don't really want to be there. And so I think there's broad concern about, the effect that this is having, on the image of these agencies, even though nobody really expects the masks to come off anytime soon.
How big of a problem are these impersonations?
Well, there have been several, instances already of criminals using masks, claiming to be, federal officers or agents in order to rob people or abuse people in some way or another. And it all points to a deterioration of trust. I mean, one of the reasons why police officers show their faces and have name tags on their uniforms is to give people confidence that they are who they say they are and that they should be trusted. And so if you have officers of the law going around looking like, bank robbers or stagecoach robbers with gaiters over their faces, they certainly don't reassure anyone that that they represent the law. And it's understandable that people would be confused and lose trust.
Yeah, how is this any different than what we expect and demand of our regular law enforcement officers? I mean, they've got to wear a badge. They have badge numbers. Their names are on their uniforms. They're not masked. If a regular police officer who is upholding the law on the streets of this country does not wear a mask and is easily identifiable, why can these ICE agents, these federal agents, hide who they are, hide their identities? I don't understand the two sets of rules.
Well, really this points to a major difference between policing by state and local authorities versus federal authorities. If we think about this, the police officers in your city or town are accountable to the elected officials of your local jurisdiction, of the mayor, and they have spent, decades trying to gain the trust of the community. The community pays their salaries. And, they have uniforms. They represent your city, your community. They want people to know who they are and to trust them. And they are in it for the long haul. Federal agencies like ICE, like these Border Patrol agents that have been deployed to places like LA and Chicago, are accountable really to the White House and to, faraway federal agencies. And there's almost no local control over what they're doing. And so, they are in there to execute a specific, mission set, in this case, a mass deportation campaign on behalf of the president. And so they don't really care if people are upset about not being able to see their faces.
Where's the line, though, for drawing their weapon? I mean, we have this reporting that I mentioned a moment ago from Fullerton, California, where an ICE agent pulled his gun and pointed it at a woman in a car. He says the woman was following him. She says she wasn't. She lives in that neighborhood. What is the bar that they have to clear to pull out a weapon and point it at an individual?
Okay, we're seeing cases like this pretty much every day in which Border Patrol agents or ICE officers are pulling out their weapons when confronted with angry protesters or crowds or people that they think are following them. It points to how edgy the current environment is in a lot of these cities where ICE and the Border Patrol are deployed very aggressively. And there have been 2 shooting instances in Chicago so far. No one is going to be surprised if there are more. And the federal government is eager to charge people with obstructing federal officers, getting in the way. But some of these protest tactics that we've seen, especially in Chicago and Los Angeles, have made it much harder for ICE and the Border Patrol to do the kinds of raids and roundups that they want to do. And so I don't think we should be surprised if we see more instances like this of weapons being drawn.
Can I linger on what you said a moment ago, that there are some out there in the field who are covering their face because they don't want to be there?
The story is getting some attention, but I don't think it's getting enough. This is an open revolt by a former Trump lawyer, yes, but also like the FBI is revolting against Trump and his conduct via ICE with the mask wearing. And that's something that the Trump administration has defended. Trump and his people have defended, saying basically, oh, they gotta wear the masks because people are being mean to them. When it's like, first of all, like, you're law enforcement. Like, I don't want to suggest law enforcement deserves no safety, but like, people being a little mean to you, especially when you're the evil cops like ICE, that comes with the job. And frankly, citizens, especially, because citizens are affected, but really everybody deserves transparency from law enforcement. And what we've seen from ICE is that the way they operate, at least in some cases, is it's indistinguishable from like how somebody would be taken. Do you understand that, right? This isn't how police typically operate. This isn't how border people typically. You know what I mean? It's not very different from if you were just getting snatched up on the street by some guys that were going to hold you for ransom or something, right? So, like, the reality is Trump and Noam, they all defended that. But now the FBI is saying, actually, all of the complaints from reasonable people were right because there's been impersonations of ICE agents, people wearing masks, and people don't know what to think because, well, frig, ICE, it could be ICE. This is how ICE operates. And maybe it isn't. And in actuality, this puts everybody at danger. People could get kidnapped because of it. It allows criminals to operate with the pretense of being officers. And it puts officers at risk because, guys, very reasonably so, and I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not advising anybody do this, right? I want to make that very clear. But you could see a scenario where somebody resists ICE's attempt to capture them and maybe hurts an officer because how do they know if it's an officer? Right? Like, you know what I mean? And so this is a revolt happening. People at the FBI are saying, no, Trump, you're wrong. And I'm guaranteeing you some of the former agents fired by the FBI would be saying this too. That Trump created a scenario that puts everybody at danger yet again.